Success shouldn't feel this exhausting. If you're winning on paper, but burning out behind the scenes, you aren't failing. You're stuck in a psychological bottleneck called a hurdle of stop. I've been there. On the outside, things look great, but I was secretly burning out, convinced I was just lucky, and waiting to be exposed as a fraud. I realized I didn't have a business problem. I had a mindset block. Whether it's imposter syndrome, perfectionism, or fear or failure, these aren't just feelings. They are growth bottlenecks. Identify your specific hurdle and get one immediate action step to regain your momentum today. Go to tuepodcast.net/quiz. That's tuepodcast.net/quiz to take the 3-minute assessment and get your report now. Welcome to Business Conversations with Pi and Piette 2.0, where the advice is real, but the voices are AI. I'm Scoob, and we're harnessing cutting-edge artificial intelligence to tackle real-world business challenges and deliver actionable strategies you can implement right now. Joining us is our newest AI voice, Piette, sharp, insightful, and ready to challenge conventional wisdom. The questions are real, the data is vast, and the insights game-changing. So buckle up, Scoob believers. It's time to get across the start line. Let's dive in.
Imagine you start a side hustle, right? Like, you love building custom bicycles in your garage.
Oh, or baking wedding cakes, something like that.
Exactly. And suddenly you're getting real clients, they pay you cash, and it's going great.
Right up until it isn't.
Right. A week later, say the brakes fail on that custom bike, the neighbor gets seriously hurt, and suddenly a judge is literally forcing you to sell your family home to pay for their medical bills.
All because you didn't file a basic $50 piece of paper.
Exactly. You thought you were just enjoying a side hustle, but the law just saw you as this giant, unprotected target. So welcome to today's deep dive.
It's a really important one today.
It is. And our entire mission today is actually driven by a listener. They wrote in to tuepodcast.net/askpi.
Such a great question, too.
Oh, brilliantly direct. They just asked, when do I legally need to incorporate an LLC?
Which is, that question really sits at the exact center of transitioning from a hobbyist to a real entrepreneur.
Right.
Because there is just a massive amount of conflicting advice out there on the internet about, when to incorporate, what it actually costs, and what it really protects.
Yeah, people get so confused by it. So today, we are going to unpack the actual legal reality of business structures. We're going to pinpoint that exact tipping point where you need a safety net.
And we'll definitely separate fact from fiction when it comes to protecting your business name. Plus, give you the exact steps to build that corporate shield.
So to understand when you actually need an LLC, I feel like we first have to look at what happens when you do absolutely nothing.
Yes. The default state.
Right. If I just bake a custom cake for a wedding, or I fix a bike and I just take the money without filing a single piece of paperwork, what does the law actually say I am?
Well, to answer the listener's literal question, you technically never legally have to incorporate.
Wait, really? Never?
Never. The police aren't going to show up and arrest you for selling a cake without a corporate charter. But if you just start selling things, the law automatically classifies you as a sole proprietorship.
Or a partnership, right, if I'm doing it with a friend.
Exactly. If you're splitting the work and the money with a friend, it's a partnership. But you don't apply for this. It is just the absolute default state of doing business in a free market.
That sounds incredibly simple, but going back to that bicycle analogy, operating as a sole proprietorship is basically, it's like walking a financial tightrope without a net, right?
That is exactly what it is. Because in a sole proprietorship, there is zero legal separation between the human being and the business.
Wow. Zero.
None. In the eyes of the law, you and the business are the exact same entity. So sure, all the profits are yours, which is great.
But all the liabilities are yours too.
Exactly. You face unlimited personal liability.
Meaning there's no firewall if things go wrong.
None at all.
Yeah.
If a customer sues you because that bicycle fell apart, or say your cake business takes out a massive loan for a commercial oven and then goes under.
The bank doesn't just take the oven back.
Right. The creditors can legally come after your personal assets, your house, your car, your kids' college fund, your life savings.
That is terrifying.
It is. Because it's all on the table to satisfy the debts of the business, simply
Right.
because the business is just an extension of you.
So the real takeaway for the listener who wrote in to tuepodcast.net/askpi, the tipping point to incorporate isn't some legal mandate.
No, not at all. The tipping point is entirely a risk assessment.
Okay, a risk assessment.
Yeah, it's the moment your business takes on enough risk, whether that's signing a commercial lease or taking on debt or just facing potential liability from physical product.
It's the moment you no longer want your personal life savings on the line.
Precisely. Once you scale past just a casual weekend hobby, that default state becomes incredibly dangerous.
Which means we need to build that safety net. Enter the LLC.
The LLC, the limited liability company.
So what actually is it?
It's a creation of state law that forms a completely separate legal entity. I like to think of it as, well, a hybrid.
A hybrid between what?
Between the operational simplicity of a sole proprietorship and the heavy legal protection of a full-blown corporation.
Okay, because the word shield gets thrown around a lot. How does the LLC actually protect my house and my car?
By creating a legal partition. Because the LLC is its own person under the law, it can enter into contracts itself. It can take on debt. And crucially, it can be sued.
Ah, so the LLC gets sued, not me.
Right. If the LLC goes bankrupt or loses a massive lawsuit, the entity's assets get liquidated to pay the debt. But once the LLC's bank account hits zero, the creditors have to stop there.
They can't cross that partition.
Exactly. They cannot cross the partition to seize your personal home. You only lose what you invested into the LLC.
I mean, that kind of peace of mind is huge. But let's talk about the money, because whenever you create a new legal entity, the IRS gets involved.
Oh, they always do?
Right. So I imagine having a separate person means having a separate tax bill. Wait, so do I just claim the earnings on my personal taxes, or how does that work?
This is where that hybrid nature of the LLC is just incredibly valuable. It offers what's known as pass-through taxation.
Okay, let's break that down. What is pass-through taxation?
Well, if you form a traditional C corporation, you face the infamous double taxation.
Which sounds awful.
It is. The corporation makes, say, $100,000 in profit, and the corporation itself pays federal corporate income tax on that money.
Okay.
Then, when the corporation distributes the remaining cash to you, the owner, as a dividend, you have to pay personal income tax on that dividend.
So the exact same dollar is taxed twice before I can even buy groceries with it.
Exactly. It's a massive penalty, just for wanting liability protection, which is why the LLC is so popular. The LLC itself does not pay federal income tax.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the profits and the losses of the business just pass through the LLC directly to your personal tax return.
So I just report it on my individual 1040.
Yep, usually using a Schedule C.
But wait, what about self-employment taxes? I've heard those are absolutely brutal. Because if you're an employee, the company covers half of your Medicare and Social Security. But as an owner, you have to cover the whole spread.
You do.
Yeah.
Active members of an LLC are considered self-employed. So you are responsible for paying self-employment taxes directly.
And what is that rate right now?
It's 15.3% on the first $118,500 of income.
Man, taking 15.3% right off the top before we even calculate federal and state income tax, that really hurts.
It does work. But the LLC structure gives you this really fascinating workaround as you grow.
No, I like workarounds.
If your profits climb high enough, you can actually file a form with the IRS to have your LLC taxed as an S corporation.
Okay, I hear entrepreneurs talking about S-Corp all the time. How does that actually lower the 15.3% hit?
Under an S Corp election, you basically change your relationship with your own business. You become an actual W-2 employee of your LLC.
Oh, so I pay myself a salary.
Yes. You pay yourself a salary for the work you do, and you only pay that 15.3% self-employment tax on that specific salary.
Okay, but what about the rest of the profit?
Any profit left over in the business after your salary is paid, you can take that as a distribution. And distributions are not subject to self-employment tax.
Wait, okay, hold on. If the self-employment tax only applies to my official salary, why wouldn't I just make my official salary like $1 single and then take all the real money tax-free as a distribution?
Yeah, the IRS anticipated that exact loophole decades ago.
Of course they did.
They actually have an entire division dedicated just to auditing S-Corp for artificially low salaries. The law clearly states you must pay yourself reasonable compensation for your industry and your role.
So I can't be a plumber pulling in $200,000 a year and paying myself a $1 salary.
Not unless you want heavy penalties. The IRS will look at what a full-time plumber makes in your city, determine that a reasonable salary is, say, $80,000, and penalize you for the unpaid taxes on that amount.
Got it. So it's a calculated balancing act. You have to pay yourself enough to satisfy the IRS, but any profit beyond that benchmark becomes tax advantaged.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's pivot back to the liability shield itself for a second. Because this structure sounds incredibly protective, but there have to be vulnerabilities.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it sounds too easy. It's like buying a waterproof case for your phone, right? But if you leave the charging port open, the phone is still going to drown. So is the LLC shield absolute?
No, the legal shield is definitely not absolute. Think of commingling funds as opening that charging port underwater.
Commingling funds, okay.
Courts have the power to do something called piercing the corporate veil. And if they do that, your limited liability protection instantly vanishes.
Meaning your personal assets are back on the table.
Just like a sole proprietorship.
Yeah.
And commingling funds is the fastest way to make this happen.
So what does commingling actually look like in practice for, a regular small business owner?
Well, it usually starts really small. An entrepreneur sets up their LLC. They feel great about it. But then they're at the grocery store and realize they left their personal wallet in the car.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, so they just use the business debit card to buy their family's groceries. Or, flip it around, they use their personal credit card to buy a laptop for the business. And they never formally reimburse themselves.
They're just treating the business accounts and their personal accounts as one big pool of money.
Exactly. And the court looks at that and decides, hey, if you are treating the LLC as just an extension of your own personal wallet, we will treat it the same way.
If you don't respect the boundary, the judge won't either.
Right. It's called the alter ego doctrine. The separation is gone, so the shield is voided. You can also lose the shield by committing outright fraud, obviously, or failing to pay your state taxes.
What about, banking? Because if I take out a loan for that massive commercial oven, the bank usually makes me sign for it personally anyway, right? Since my new LLC doesn't have any credit history.
Yes, and banks are very aware of limited liability. They don't want to be left holding the bag if your LLC folds. So when you personally guarantee a business bank loan, you are voluntarily piercing your own corporate veil for that specific debt.
You're just telling the bank, if the LLC defaults, you can bypass the shield and come directly after my house.
Exactly.
So aside from keeping our bank accounts strictly separate and, reading the fine print on loans, how do we actually prove to a court that we are treating this business as a legitimate, separate entity?
The anchor of your protection here is a document called an operating agreement.
An operating agreement. Even if it's just me, if I'm a single member LLC, who am I making an agreement with? Myself.
I know it sounds silly, but yes, even for a single member LLC, having this formal written document is absolutely vital. You are creating the foundational blueprint of the entity.
Okay, what goes into it?
It details the capital contributions, like how much personal money you initially put into the business. It details how profits will be distributed. It establishes the management structure.
Like whether it's member managed or manager managed.
Exactly. When a judge looks at your business during a lawsuit, this document proves you are operating a legitimate, structured organization and not just a hobby with a bank account.
That makes a lot of sense. So the operating agreement keeps the financial shield intact from the courts. But I feel like there's a massive false sense of security out there regarding a business's identity.
Oh, the identity myth.
Right. Because if I register my paperwork and my operating agreement says I am Rainbow and Lollipops Plumbing LLC, I naturally assume my business name is totally locked down and no one else can use it, right?
It is perhaps the most dangerous misconception among new business owners.
Really? Shut this myth down for us.
I will gladly shut it down. When you form an LLC, you are registering with the corporate registry of your specific state. That registry exists to track corporate entities for tax and liability purposes. It is not designed to protect your brand identity.
But wait, the state will reject my LLC application if someone else already has the name, won't they?
Only if someone has the exact same corporate name in your specific state.
No.
The state corporate registry and the federal trademark registry, which is run by the USPTO, they are entirely different systems run by entirely different levels of government, and they do not talk to each other.
They don't talk at all. So if I am Rainbow and Lollipops Plumbing LLC in my state, what is to stop a competitor from just stealing my brand?
Honestly, without a federal trademark, absolutely nothing. A competitor could legally go to your exact same state and register their company under a completely different corporate name, like ABC Plumbing, Inc.
And the state happily approves it because ABC Plumbing is different from my LLC name.
Right. But then ABC Plumbing, Inc. buys the domain name rainbowandlollipopsplumbing.com. and they operate their daily business under your exact brand identity.
Wow. So they just bypass a corporate registry entirely and steal the public-facing brand?
Yes. And stopping them is incredibly difficult and expensive if all you have is an LLC. An LLC document does nothing for you if you want to enforce your brand name across state lines or if you want to register with the Amazon brand registry, for instance.
So if you want real brand protection, you must have a registered trademark with the federal government.
Exactly. The LLC protects your house. The trademark protects your brand name. They're completely different tools for completely different jobs.
I love that. The LLC protects the house. The trademark protects the brand. Okay, so knowing what an LLC actually does and doesn't do, how do we actually pull the trigger and set one up? Let's give the listener an actionable checklist they can understand without, drowning in legal jargon.
I can do that. It's really just chronological steps.
Okay.
Step 1 is name availability.
Makes sense. Got to check the state database.
Right. You must include LLC or limited company in the name, and you have to avoid restricted words. You can't just use words like bank or insurance unless your business is actually licensed for those heavily regulated industries.
Okay, so once the name is cleared, step 2.
Step 2 is the Articles of Organization. You file this with your Secretary of State and you pay the fee. Think of it as the birth certificate of the business.
And what's on that document?
It's very simple. Just your business name, your primary address, and your registered agent.
Ah, the registered agent. Why does the state demand one of those?
Because the state needs a guaranteed way to contact your business for official legal matters during normal business hours, like if you're being served with a lawsuit.
Okay, so step 1 is name. Step 2 is articles of organization. Step 3.
Step 3 is the operating agreement, which we already talked about. Draft it to solidify the structure and buyout procedures.
Got it.
Then step 4 is securing an EIN, an employer identification number, and getting your bank account.
You get the EIN from the IRS, right? It's free.
Completely free on the IRS website. Armed with that EIN and your articles of organization, you go straight to the bank and open a dedicated business checking account immediately.
Right, to avoid that commingling trap we discussed.
Exactly. And finally, step 5, local licenses. Don't forget your city or county basic business licenses. Just because the state approved your LLC doesn't mean City Hall will let you operate without local permits.
Right. So let's talk dollars, because everyone always wants to know, what are the actual fees for this?
It varies wildly. Some states are very cheap. You might pay $10 to $40 to file.
Oh, that's nothing.
But others are much higher. Texas is around $300. Massachusetts is $500.
Wow.
And California is particularly steep. They levy an $800 minimum franchise tax every single year just for existing.
$800 a year, which naturally leads people to look for loopholes. Because I constantly hear people say, oh, just form your LLC in Wyoming or Delaware or Nevada.
Right, because the laws are favorable and fees are tiny.
Yeah. So if I live in California, can I just form my LLC in Wyoming to dodge the $800 fee?
No, please don't do that. If you live and operate your business in California, the state considers you to be doing business there.
So what happens if I try the Wyoming trick?
California law requires any out-of-state company to register as a foreign entity. So you end up paying the setup fees in Wyoming, and then you still have to pay California to register the foreign entity, which triggers the exact same $800 tax.
Wow. So you just end up paying fees in both states.
Exactly. It's an administrative nightmare for zero savings. Just form it in your home state.
Good to know. Well, to summarize and connect the dots for the listener who asked the question, you don't legally need an LLC to do business. The second you sell a cake, you're a sole proprietor.
Right.
But the second your business involves serious contracts, real money, or physical risk, an LLC is the critical firewall you need between your professional ambition and your personal savings.
It's the moment you stop treating it like a hobby and start building a real foundation.
I love that. So I want to leave you with a provocative thought to ponder. Look at your current setup. If your side hustle or business was sued tomorrow for a freak accident whose bank account would actually be drained, what kind of net are you operating without right now? And what is it really costing you in peace of mind?
It's a heavy question, but an important one.
It really is. And listen, this incredible deep dive today was made possible by a listener just like you.
We really do love getting these questions.
We do. We urge you to send your own burning questions to tuepodcast.net/askpi. Sending your questions to this specific link is vitally important. It is well known to be the best way to get your topic featured on a custom deep dive.
Absolutely.
So head over to tuepodcast.net/askpi right now. Until next time, stay curious.
And that's a wrap, Scuba Believers. You just experienced the power of AI-driven business insights with Pi and Piette 2.0. Real advice, artificial voices, unlimited potential. If today's episode sparked an idea, challenged your thinking, or gave you that breakthrough moment, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a fellow entrepreneur who needs to hear this. Got a burning business question? Want Pi and Piette to tackle your specific challenge? Head over to tuepodcast.net/askpi and submit your question right now. We'll dive deep into your issue and deliver the actionable strategies you need to get across the start line. Remember, Scuba Believers, the hurdles aren't in the way. The hurdles are the way. Until next time, keep moving forward, keep taking action, and we'll see you in the next episode. Hello, Scuba Believers. Let me ask you a real quick question. How many cups of coffee have you had today? 3, 5, 7? And let me guess, you've got a Red Bull in the other hand just in case, right? Yeah, I see you. Now, here's the truth bomb nobody wants to hear. You're not building a business. You're building a caffeine dependency. Listen, I get it. When you're grinding 12, 14, 16-hour days, you're building something from nothing. When you've got payroll to meet, investors to impress, and visions that won't wait. You need fuel. But what if I told you that the fuel that you're using is actually slowing you down? What if the very thing that you think is keeping you sharp is actually making you dull? Enter Rise Coffee. This isn't your grandma's mushroom tea. This isn't some hippie wellness trend. This is science meets performance. And here's what makes Rise different. Less than half the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. But here's the kicker. You won't miss it. 6 organic powerhouse mushrooms, including cordyceps, what Olympic athletes use, and lion's mane, what Silicon Valley biohackers swear by. Sustained energy that doesn't spike and crash. We're talking smooth, clean power from morning to moonlight. Crystal clear focus without the jitters. Imagine closing the deal with calm, confident mind instead of the caffeine chaos. Gut health and immune support, because what's the point of building an empire if you're too sick to enjoy it? So here's the challenge to you. Stop borrowing energy from tomorrow. Stop running on fumes and call it a hustle. Stop wearing your caffeine addiction like a badge of honor. Real entrepreneurs optimize, real entrepreneurs adapt, real entrepreneurs win. You can't win if you're crashing at 2 p.m. while your competition is just getting started. Break the cycle. Head to risesuperfoods.com right now and use code PODNA15 for 50% off your first order. That's PODNA15 for 15% off. Try it for 30 days. If you don't feel the difference, if you don't feel sharper, calmer, more focused, more alive, then go back to your 6-a-day cup habit. But I'm telling you, you won't, because once you feel what real energy feels like, you'll never go back. Ditch the addiction. Fuel your empire and rise up. Rise Coffee, energy that builds, not burns.